Many people cite Albert Einstein's aphorism, "Everything should be made as simple as possible, but no simpler." Only a handful, however, have had the opportunity to discuss the concept with a physicist over breakfast. One of those is Peter G. Neumont, now an 80-year-old computer scientist at SRI International, the pioneering engineering research laboratory here. As an applied mathematics student at Harvard, Dr. Neumont had a 2-hour breakfast with Einstein on November 8, 1952. What the young math student took away was a deeply held philosophy of design that has remained with him for 6. Thank you for trying verbose. This recording will go away once the product has been purchased. Decades and has been his governing principle of computing and computer security. For many of those years, Dr. Neumont pronounced no man has remained a voice in the wilderness, tirelessly pointing out that the computer industry has a penchant for repeating the mistakes of the past. He had long been one of the nation's leading specialists in computer security, and early on he predicted that the security flaws that have accompanied the pell-mell explosion of the computer and internet industries would have disastrous consequences. His biggest contribution is to stress the system's nature of the "thank you for trying" verbose. This recording will go away once the product has been purchased. Security and reliability problems, said Stephen Bellowithin, Chief Technology Officer of the Federal Trade Commission. That is, trouble occurs not because of one failure, but because of the way many different pieces interact. Dr. Bellowithin said that it was Dr. Neumont who originally gave him the insight that complex systems break in complex ways, that the increasing complexity of modern hardware and software has made it virtually impossible to identify the flaws and vulnerabilities in computer systems and ensure that they are secure and trustworthy. The consequence has come to pass in "Thank you for trying" verbose. This recording will go away once the product has been purchased. The form of an epidemic of computer malware and rising concerns about cyber warfare as a threat to global security, voiced alarmingly this month by the Defense Secretary, Leon Panetta, who warned of a possible cyber Pearl Harbor attack on the United States. It is remarkable, then, that years after most of his contemporaries have retired, Dr. Neumont is still at it and has seized the opportunity to start over and redesign computers and software from a clean slate. He is leading the team of researchers in an effort to completely rethink how to make "Thank you for trying" verbose. This recording will go away once the product has been purchased. Computers and Network Secure, in a 5-year project financed by the Pentagon's Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency, or DARPA, with Robert N. Watson, a computer security researcher at Cambridge University's Computer Laboratory. "I've been tilting at the same windmills for basically 40 years, said Dr. Neumont recently during a lunchtime interview at a Chinese restaurant near his art-filled home in Palo Alto, California. "And I get the impression that most of the folks who are responsible don't want to hear about complexity. They are interested in quick and dirty solutions." An early voice for "Thank you for trying" verbose. This recording will go away once the product has been purchased. Security drive Neumont, who left Bell Labs and moved to California as a single father with 3 young children in 1970, has occupied the same office at SRI for 4 decades. Until the building was recently modified to make it earthquake-resistant, the office had attained notoriety for the towering stacks of computer science literature that filled every cranny. Legend has it that colleagues who visited the office after the 1989 earthquake were stunned to discover that while other offices were in disarray from the 7.1 magnitude quake, nothing in Dr. Neumont's office appeared to have been disturbed. "Thank you for trying" verbose. This recording will go away once the product has been purchased. A trim and agile man, with piercing eyes and a salt and pepper beard, Dr. Neumont has practiced Tai-Chi for decades. But his passion, besides computer security, is music. He plays a variety of instruments, including bassoon, French horn, trombone and piano, and is active in a variety of musical groups. At computer security conferences it has become a tradition for Dr. Neumont to lead his colleagues in song, playing tunes from Gilbert and Sullivan and Tom Lehrer. Until recently, security was a backwater in the world of computing. Today it is a multi-billion-dollar industry, though. Thank you for trying verbose. This recording will go away once the product has been purchased. One of dubious competence, and safeguarding the nation's computerized critical infrastructure has taken on added urgency. President Obama cited it in the third debate of the presidential campaign, focusing on foreign policy, as something we need to be thinking about as part of the nation's military strategy. Dr. Neumont reasons that the only workable and complete solution to the computer security crisis is to study the past half-century's research, cherry-pick the best ideas and then build something new from the bottom up. Richard Clarke, the nation's former counterterrorism czar and an author. Thank you for trying verbose. This recording will go away once the product has been purchased. Of Cyber War, the next threat to national security and what to do about it. Echo Flash. HarperCollins, 2010 agrees that Dr. Neumont's clean slate effort, as it is called, is essential. Fundamentally all of the stuff we're doing to secure networks today is putting bandages on and putting our fingers in the dike, and the dike springs a leak somewhere else, Mr. Clarke said. We have not fundamentally redesigned our networks for 45 years, he said. Sure, it would cost an enormous amount to re-architect, but let's start it and see if it works better. Thank you for trying verbose. This recording will go away once the product has been purchased, and let the marketplace decide. Dr. Neumont is one of the most qualified people to lead such an effort to rethink security. He has been there for the entire trajectory of modern computing, even before its earliest days. He took his first computing job in the summer of 1953, when he was hired to work as a programmer employing an IBM card-punched calculator. Today the SRI-Cambridge collaboration is one of several dozen research projects financed by DARPA's Information Innovation Office as part of a cyber resilience effort started in 2010. Thank you for trying verbose. This recording will go away once the product has been purchased. Run by Dr. Howard Schroeb, an MIT computer scientist who is now a DARPA program manager. The effort began with a premise: if the computer industry got a do-over, what should it do differently? The program includes two separate but related efforts: CRASH, for clean slate design of resilient adaptive secure hosts, and MDARCY, for mission-oriented resilient clouds. The idea is to reconsider computing entirely, from the silicon wafers on which circuits are etched to the application programs run by users, as well as services that are placing more private and personal data in remote data centers. Thank you for trying verbose. This recording will go away once the product has been purchased. Clean Slate is financing research to explore how to design computer systems that are less vulnerable to computer intruders and recover more readily once security is breached. Dr. Schroeb argues that because the industry is now in a fundamental transition from desktop to mobile systems, it is a good time to completely rethink computing. But among the biggest challenges is the monoculture of the computer ecosystem of desktop, servers and networks, he said. Nature abhors monocultures, and that's exactly what we have in the computer world today, said Dr. Schroeb. 80%. Thank you for trying verbose. This recording will go away once the product has been purchased. Are running the same operating system. Lessons from biology to combat uniformity in software. Designers are now pursuing a variety of approaches that make computer system resources moving targets. Already some computer operating systems scramble internal addresses much the way a magician might perform the trick of hiding the pea in a shell. The Clean Slate project is taking that idea further, essentially creating software that constantly shapeshifts to elude would-be attackers. That the Internet enables almost any computer in the world to connect directly to any other makes it possible. Thank you for trying verbose. This recording will go away once the product has been purchased. For an attacker who identifies a single vulnerability to almost instantly compromise a vast number of systems. But borrowing from another science, Dr. Neumont notes that biological systems have multiple immune systems. Not only are there initial barriers, but a second system consisting of sentinels like T cells has the ability to detect and eliminate intruders and then remember them to provide protection in the future. In contrast, today's computer and network systems were largely designed with security as an afterthought, if at all. One designed approach that Dr. Neumont's thank you for trying verbose. This recording will go away once the product has been purchased. Research team is pursuing is known as a tagged architecture. In effect, each piece of data in the experimental system must carry credentials and encryption code that ensures that it is one that the system trusts. If the data or program's papers are not in order, the computer won't process them. The related approach is called a capability architecture, which requires every software object in the system to carry special information that describes its access rights on the computer, which is checked by a special part of the processor. For Dr. Neumont, one thank you for trying verbose. This recording will go away once the product has been purchased. of the most frustrating parts of the process is seeing problems that were solved technically as long ago as 4 decades still plague the computer world. The classic example is buffer overflow vulnerability, a design flaw that permits an attacker to send a file with a long string of characters that will overrun an area of a computer's memory, causing the program to fail and make it possible for the intruder to execute a malicious program. Almost 25 years ago, Robert Tappan Morris, then a graduate student at Cornell University, used the technique to thank you for trying verbose. This recording will go away once the product has been purchased. Make his worm program spread throughout an internet that was then composed of about only 50,000 computers. Dr. Neumont had attended Harvard with Robert Morris, Robert Tappan Morris's father, and then worked with him at Bell Laboratories in the 1960s and 1970s, where the elder Mr. Morris was one of the inventors of the Unix operating system. Dr. Neumont, a close family friend, was prepared to testify at the trial of the young programmer, who carried out his hacking stunt with no real malicious intent. He was convicted and fined, and is now a professor at MIT. Thank you for trying verbose. This recording will go away once the product has been purchased. At the time that the Morris worm had run amok on the internet, the buffer overflow flaw had already been known about and controlled in the Multics operating system research project, which Dr. Neumont helped lead from 1965 to 1969. An early Pentagon-financed design effort, Multics was the first systematic attempt to grapple with how to secure computer resources that are shared by many users. Yet many of the Multics innovations were ignored at the time because IBM mainframes were quickly coming to dominate the industry. Hope and worry. Thank you for trying verbose. This recording will go away once the product has been purchased. The experience left Dr. Neumont, who had coined the term Unix to describe a programming effort by Ken Thompson that would lead to the modern Unix operating system, simultaneously pessimistic and optimistic about the industry's future. "I'm fundamentally an optimist with regard to what we can do with research," he said. "I'm fundamentally a pessimist with respect to what corporations who are fundamentally beholden to their stockholders do, because they're always working on short-term appearance." That dichotomy can be seen in the Association of Computing Machinery Risks Forum News Group, a collection. Thank you for trying verbose. This recording will go away once the product has been purchased. Of emails reporting computer failures and foibles that Dr. Neumont has edited since 1985. With hundreds of thousands, and possibly millions, of followers, it is one of the most widely read mailing lists on the internet, an evolving compendium of computer failures, flaws and privacy issues that he has maintained and annotated with wry comments and the occasional pun. In 1995 the list became the basis for his book Computer-Related Risks. Addison Wesley/ACM Press. While the risks list is a reflection of Dr. Neumont's personality, it also displays his long-time interest in electronic privacy. He is deeply thank you for trying verbose. This recording will go away once the product has been purchased. Involved in the technology issues surrounding electronic voting, he likes to quote Stalin on the risks: "It's not who votes that counts, it's who counts the votes," and has testified, served on panels and written widely on the subject. Dr. Neumont grew up in New York City, in Greenwich Village, but his family moved to Wright, NY, where he attended high school. J.B. Neumont, Dr. Neumont's father, was a noted art dealer, first in Germany and then in New York, where he opened the New Art Circle Gallery after moving to the United States. Thank you for trying verbose. This recording will go away once the product has been purchased. In 1923, Dr. Neumont recalls his father's tale of eating in a restaurant in Munich, where he had a gallery, and finding that he was seated next to Hitler and some of his Nazi associates. He left the country for the United States soon afterward. His mother, Elsa Schmid Neumont, was an artist. His 2-hour breakfast with Einstein took place because she had been commissioned to create a colorful mosaic of Einstein and had become friendly with him. The mosaic is now displayed in a reference reading room in the main library at Boston University. Thank you for trying verbose. This recording will go away once the product has been purchased. Dr. Neumont's college conversation was the start of a lifelong romance with both the beauty and the perils of complexity, something that Einstein hinted at during their breakfast. "What do you think of Johannes Brahms?" Dr. Neumont asked the physicist. "I have never understood Brahms," Einstein replied. "I believe Brahms was burning the midnight oil trying to be complicated."